At least the Blues had the penalty kill going for them, right? No, not exactly. Okay, I'm going to talk more about what went wrong with this penalty kill coming up next here on Locked on Blues.
You're Locked on Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked on Blues. I am your host of Locked on Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode of Locked on Blues, I will be talking about that penalty kill that the Blues have and the biggest problems that I saw with it. I will be grading Jake Neighbours on his performance this season. And will this be the end of Armstrong? I know. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, I will explain, but there is so much to get into on today's episode, per usual. But before I dive deeper into things, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admitted I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. I hope everybody is having a good Thursday. It is April 25th. Another day the Blues not being in the playoffs. And I have to say, last night during that Vegas Golden Knights game and Dallas Stars game, I found myself getting very annoyed because I just was like, man, this sucks. Like, I just wish that the Blues were in the playoffs, you know? So it is one of those things where at the end of the day, they're not. And now we have to talk about what went wrong and how the Blues can fix it this season. So this season, the Blues had killed 169 penalties, which I have to say is pretty good. The Blues' penalty kill was at a 78.6%, which isn't awful. I think that the St. Louis Blues' penalty kill was, well, definitely a lot better than the power play. But it's not something that was the best, right? When you think about teams that had the best, penalty kill, St. Louis wasn't one of them. And that's not a diss on the Blues, but at the same time, they're just teams with a higher penalty kill rate, right? The Blues were fairly average, right, with the 78%. The worst penalty kill was the Islanders with 71%, and the best was the Carolina Hurricanes with an 86%. So the Blues definitely fell in that middle range, kind of lowered to the bottom of that middle range, but definitely within that spectrum. The number one thing with the Blues' penalty kill was the aggressiveness, and that is something that I have to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff for, because you have a power play that was atrocious, to say the least, but yet you had a penalty kill that was able to sustain itself. Next season, what do I want to see on the penalty kill? I want to see a more stable penalty kill. I think that the Blues got too cute with maintaining puck possession on the PK, and sometimes that led to overturning the puck and allowing some very bad situations to happen. So I think once the Blues just establish, clear the puck out of the zone, fine, things will be good at least, but focus on that. Overall, the penalty kill, I can't say too many bad things about it other than just being more careful with puck possession. Again, spacing on the ice, that was another thing. But overall, I think with the right coaching, it could be better. It always can be better, but it wasn't atrocious. I think when you think about, and I talked about this on yesterday's episode, about the power play and how the power play was just a hard watch. I would always jokingly say, but when we'd go on the power play, I'm like, okay, can we decline this? Because that's how frustrating it was for me, at least, to watch it. So I can't imagine what it was even like for the players to just know that they don't have these successful power plays. So I think when you have one part of your special teams be successful, that's a positive. And it can only get better. And with the right coaching, right players, right, the penalty kill can only improve and get better. I mean, when you take a look this season and you just look at especially us on the PK, right, and who was near us, I said 78, we had a 79. Vancouver was above us and the Capitals were below us. So in that aspect, I think that makes me feel more confident that our penalty kill was the way that it was. We had 215, and I said that 169 we were able to defend. So that is at least a good statistic. It's better than nothing. And I think that at the end of the day, as I said, huge improvements that we need to work on as an organization. But right now, I am uber confident that the penalty kill will only get better. It is funny enough, but we are a team that is not a bad team, right? Um, while you might laugh and think, hey, they didn't make the playoffs, we do have a lot of good skills. And one of our skill sets this season that we did kind of thrive on was our penalty kill with their special teams. Um, but I am curious about what you think because obviously there's so many different factors. Kyrie was a factor in always overturning the puck. And he kind of made me a little nervous on that PK unit. But again, is it something where I am going to panic about? No, I think that the panic, the concern, and the stress didn't come from the penalty kill unit. I mean, you think about our PK unit, right? Robert Thomas, Alexei Turchenko, Nick Leddy, Colton Parayko. Does that seem like a unity where you're going to panic on? Or you have a Braden Shen, a Pavel Buchnevich, a Marco Scandella, or a Matthew Kessel? No, that doesn't make me panic. I think I like Matthew Kessel, actually. I think that he did a great job this past season. But I think overall, it's not the players, and it's more so the coaching, strategies on the ice, and how just to have a stronger unit. Special teams as a whole, we know it's not the Blues' strength, right? And you can't say, oh, the Blues' special teams is so good when the reality is one aspect of special teams is a power play. And I know I talked about this a lot on yesterday's episode, but that to me was uber concerning. I, of course, want the penalty kill to improve 100%. The power play, that's when, you have to take a big look at this team and think, okay, special teams maybe just isn't it. Sure, you have one aspect of special teams that's surviving, that's afloating, but is it enough? And that's when the question has to come down to the coaching staff. And that's why this offseason is so important because I do believe that there will be a new coaching staff. And I talked about this on my other episode, right? I said about Drew Bannister and how he might be an assistant coach. Well, I understand the frustration of having Banny around still. I get it. I get all sides. But at the end of the day, put him in a role, get a new head coach, but get new coaching staff members because right now you need fresh faces to take a good look at this team, establish the issues, and truly try to fix what just isn't working. And I'm hoping that they get a coach, a really good assistant coach that really knows how to work the power play, that really knows how to kill the penalty kill. Because if you get those factors in, that can make all the difference in the world. And I do believe that the St. Louis Blues, and you can mark my word on this, if they have the right coaching, their penalty kill could be one of the best in the NHL because they have the players. Unlike the power play, I feel more confident about the success as the penalty kill because of the fact that they do have the right players. And again, I know that these athletes, they know what to do, right? They know how to kill a penalty. They know how to defend. I get it. I understand it. But it's the coach's job to make sure that they structure the most productive play for these athletes. And you might be confused. Hale, isn't that the same thing? And no, it is not. The job of the coach is to basically say, this is the formula to success. This is what you need to execute on the ice. And this is how this will be a successful penalty kill. So I think that once you have that established, you will see results on the ice that generate some really positive things for the St. Louis Blues going forward. And I hope that the coaching staff has as much faith as I do, because I do feel really strongly about this, that with just the right formula, the right thing can happen. So Let's have some faith, St. Louis, because who's to say that special teams won't be our strong suit one day? That day is not now, but one day. I want to tell you about my friends over at Monopoly Go. We've all been there. You're either a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure if you or the team can pull a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much as my friend's money as I possibly can. And that's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare to your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open a community chests and tournaments to get extra rewards and to climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go. Now free on the App Store or Google Play. I am grading players, and a player that I want to grade is Jake Neighbours since he's one of my higher players. So to recap, I graded Robert Thomas and I gave him an A because he is our superstar. I graded Jordan Bennington yesterday and I gave him an A. And today I will be grading Jake Neighbours and I will be giving him an A. I thought long and hard about this. I'm like, do I give him an A or an A minus? I'm giving him an A. Honestly, Jake Neighbours, is there anything I need to say? He had a fantastic season. And sometimes I feel like I'm a little too hard on these players where I kind of don't give them much benefit of the doubt. It's not because I don't see the progress that they have. It's just because I'm looking at it sometimes a little bit too objectively. But he played 77 games this season, 27 goals, 11 assists with 38 points. To give you a reminder, last season, he played 43 games with 6 goals and 4 assists. So a huge jump in progress, huge playmaker, was on that first line. And honestly, the thing about Jake Neighbours is that he showed that he has the potential and the capability to be a superstar in this league. While he is no Robert Thomas yet, maybe one day he will be. And I'm not saying that he's going to replace Robert Thomas. That's not what I'm saying. He has the ability to be a true leader of this team. You know, he was one of my favorite draft picks from years ago. And I think just the progress that he has made just goes to show that the Blues really are good at drafting players. And again, just the power that he had on the ice, whenever he would have puck possession, he would always try to generate the most out of it. He never seemed lackadaisical on the ice, which sometimes we did see from some of our players. So overall, I can't say anything negative about Jake Neighbours. I guess what I can say, there's some minor things that he can work on: puck control, spacing, passing. Like, there's things that I can critique. And in this summer, of course, I'll be doing my full episodes on all of the players in more depth. But if I'm just grading based off of the season, I have to say he just played like an A player. Do I think there's room for improvement? Absolutely. Do I think that this is the best he's ever going to play? No. Break the ceilings, honestly. When you look at a player like Jake Neighbours, he has the ability to really break the ceiling, to really do some huge things. And I think that he's just, 22 years old, beginning of his career. He has so much ahead of him. So it would be unfair for me to even say, oh, yeah, this is the best he's going to do, when that's not true at all. He has time to continue to improve. He has time to continue to develop while making huge impacts on the Blues. I think that when you look at the Blues as an organization, you have to think long and hard about what the end goal is. And the end goal is to get another Stanley Cup. How are they going to do that? Not with players like a Kevin Hayes or a Pavel Buchnevich, no offense to them, but it's the future. It's guys like a Jake Neighbours, a DeBoer Dvorsky, right? And you have to think about guys like that. And that's the future of this team. And that's why the Blues honestly have been drafting these prospects that are so promising because they're really good at developing players. And I've said this once and I said it again, but watch the Thunderbirds and tell me that you're not excited. The T-Birds are a prime example of why the AHL is the way that the AHL is. Sure, they didn't make it to the playoffs, and that sucks. Disappointing 100%. But they're developing really good hockey players. You saw, Tyler Tucker, Scott Perunovich, so many more, and, the Bidden boys. But it's going to take time. And that's why I am excited when it comes to a guy like a Jake Neighbours because he's been through that process. He's still developing and he's still putting in all the work. And I think that when you have a player to that ability that is willing to work as hard as Neighbours is, it should make you really excited about the future of this team because that's a standard that's being set right now in the St. Louis Blues' locker room. It's a standard that's being set on the ice, and it's only going to get better, folks, okay? So, yes, he gets an A for the season. I'm also, kind of developing a cold, so I do apologize if I'm a little bit, snuffly. Is not even a word, snuffly. But that's how it feels right now, and it kind of, sucks, and I'm not a fan of it, so. All right, I'm gonna tell you about my friends over at Indeed. So, when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites for candidates. You can find them with the right skills, all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching assessments and virtual interviews. Hate waiting. Indeed's US data shows that 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job descriptions the moment they sponsor a job. Something that I love about Indeed is that it's so easy to use and everything is all in one place, and you can really find the best candidates. Join over the 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you need to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing is not available for everyone. Need a hire? You need Indeed. Will this be the end of Doug Armstrong? No. But did I have to bring it up in a conversation? Yes. He is such a frustrating GM, first and foremost. And I think that us as a fan base, we're kind of over it, right? I don't know if I can stand any more of what he has to say if his actions are not going to be shown. What does that mean? You can say, oh, we need to fix this and that and that. Okay, well then do something this offseason, Doug. We're waiting. We want you to do something. Too many times this past season, especially this past off season, we had no other option but to believe that, hey, the team might have just had a bad season last year. Let's give them a chance again. Because Doug Armstrong didn't do anything. The big blockbuster trade, and we get Kevin Hayes. Fire Berube, better things are going to happen. We get Drew Bannister. I think Doug likes to speak a lot, and I'm not trying to come at him, but actions need to be met with your words. And right now, the next thing that Doug is saying is about a new coach, or we think, I don't know, but it's going to be said June 1st, and then it's going to be said before the draft, which is late June. Doug, be transparent. Tell us what's going on. Do something this offseason. Standing pat, I get it. You couldn't get the best deals, whatever. It's whatever at this point. But do something this offseason. Give us, the fans, something to believe in because right now, this is the most infuriating hockey team to watch. Partially because I'm a fan of this team, but it is just absolutely frustrating. And I want to believe that you're going to do something really great for the Blues. And I truly hope that's the case. Do I think you're going to do that? I hope so. Do I think that if you don't do something, your job could be at risk? I think so. And we've seen it before with GMs that end up getting booted because they don't do enough. I've seen that multiple times in this league very recently. And I think at one point, someone's gonna have to say, hey, is this the best fit for the St. Louis Blues? Because it just seems to be a dumpster fire. And I don't want that to be the case because I do think he is smart. I like what he does at the drafting. I just don't know what he's always doing when it comes to trades or extensions or no trade clauses. Like, it's so frustrating sometimes. So, do I think this is the end of Doug? No, but am I annoyed? Absolutely. All right, St. Louis. I will talk to you tomorrow for an Are We Feeling Blue Friday. I'm going to take some cold medicine and hope to get over this cold. But I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.